Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing well. May I request all of you to have your cameras on? Okay. So tomorrow would be the last class of season 2. Tomorrow we'll wrap up all the thinkers from this section. We may have a slight change in the timing of tomorrow's class. So we will inform you all on the WhatsApp channel. But yes, tomorrow, please make sure that you attend the class. But before that happens, anyone, any thoughts on season 2? Your favorite episode, philosopher? Because this may change in a couple of days, be it today or tomorrow. So I want to see how many of you will change their thoughts and what are your thoughts currently on season 2? Or anyone who has, who thinks season 1 was better, loved the Western philosophers better. But I think Indian philosophers, they had their own charm. In fact, relevance. They were much more holistic. No? Chirani?
Good afternoon, sir. Season 2 is very relatable in nature. We discussed on many problems that we see around. So this kind of helps us to gain new perspective, not just on Indian political thought, but on the entire syllabus holistically. So yeah, it was as good as season 1 was. So no comparison. Both the seasons were at its best on, and you justified whatever you could do to ingrain the concepts within us. My favorite philosopher in Indian political thought was Chanakya, of course. Nobody bet him after that. I feel that just like what Plato has done in Western political thought, creating that base for the entire philosophy to build upon, Chanakya did the same for India. However, revision of Aurobindo Ghosh and Mahatma Gandhi gave a new sense to the kind of Indian political thought has evolved until today. So, yeah, looking forward to more seasons. Thank you.
Okay, interesting. Monica, your thoughts? You were not regular in season 1, right?
I missed a few episodes, but then I covered it later in the recordings, the recorded episodes. So I'm done with the first season entirely. But when it comes to second season, I'm very impressed with the whole morality angle that comes into play with the Indian philosophers. Not that Western philosophers did not have any morality, but the way it is being used is very relevant to the Indian context. And I'm very slowly Chanakya obviously is a favorite, but Gandhiji has a lot of class, and I'm realizing that slowly. So that is one thing, and also the my whole there's a lot of philosophical conflict that is happening within me because I'm jumping from one philosopher to the other. Just a couple of days ago, I was involved in. I heard somebody say something about suicide. That suicide needs a lot of guts, and it is not easy. And it was more like a glorification of that. So when I went back to read about it, there were so many philosophers who have given, including Rousseau, Hobbes, all of these people who have given their own thoughts on suicide. And that's when it struck that what we are thinking now and doing now has always existed. And you can always go back to these people to, they are our points of reference, Indian, Western, everything. So that is kind of giving a new sense of courage that you're not alone, and this has already been done before. So yeah.
Okay, so Chanakya and Gandhi for now.
Totally.
But why? Why them?
See, lately in life, I have realized the importance of balance. So when I see Gandhiji, yes, you need to, and there's this whole debate about Ambani's wedding and capitalism and, you being a normal person. That's when I realized that, even my maid feels the same about me. Why is she buying clothes, so many clothes? Why is she flaunting what she has? No, so it kind of does the same narrative that was going around when Ambani's son's wedding was happening. So I realized that, listen, see, people will never be happy. You need to strike a balance between everything, and the art lies in accommodating everything. You can't loot the rich and give it to the poor. That is also not justice. Similarly, the nationalization of banks also had a similar problem. I mean, the Supreme Court said that, you cannot loot somebody's private property and give it off to somebody else just because somebody is rich, somebody is poor. Even a wealthy man has his rights. Just because he's wealthy, you can't feel jealous, right? And
Okay.
say that, oh, he's wealthy. You can't discriminate the wealthy either. So balancing everything, just like how Gandhiji had done, take the money from them and put it into the system. Play on the strengths, play on the positives, don't hate anybody, because we need everybody to survive.
Okay. Interesting. Chetan, your thoughts?
Sir, comparing season 1 and season 2, I think they both are a different piece of art, or you can say different dishes. Each one has a different taste. And season 2 was much more comparable because Western political thoughts, as an Indian, the Indian thought were more relevant. And in that, my favorite would be, of course, the Chanakya. And a favorite episode will be the 6th episode, where we discuss about his whole Rajniti, about NATO. That episode was my favorite. And also the Gandhiji, especially the yesterday's part, because and in both of them, the common thing is, I think, a pragmatism. Gandhiji, in a way, also a pragmatic leader, and Chanakya, as we means famously say, he is the most pragmatic one. So that was it.
Okay. Today, perhaps Gandhiji will receive a lot of hate. But before that, I want to just hear your thoughts. Himanshu? And by today, I mean today's episode.
Sir, my favorite in first season was Machiavelli. So my favorite in second season would be Chanakya, of course. Because for other thinkers, I think half of their thoughts remain relevant, but other half of their thoughts become just utopian. Because like Gandhiji's Ram Rajya might have been in his ideas, would have been established, but it's not. And it won't be practical and it won't be there. Whatever we change our constitution with 73rd, 74th, any amendment acts, but it would become complex later on because technology is driving in. People are thinking differently. People are driven by algorithms rather than rationality. So for me, it's like some things are real, some things are still utopian. For Aurobindo, I think when he invoked spiritual nationalism, he wanted to preserve the culture. So the preservation of culture in today's age has turned into fanaticism. It became Hurriyat-led in Kashmir. It became Khalistani-led in Punjab. So culture was nowhere. It is changing into internal strikes, internal disharmony. So the thoughts might be good, but in reality, it won't be applicable, as I think. And so my question was, for which I raised my hand yesterday, is that Vinoba Bhave's Bhudan movement would come under the trusteeship concept or not? And if we are putting examples like criticism like Nehru and Ambedkar for Gandhi's philosophical ideas, so it's a philosophical criticism. But when we are tackling the questions of Gram Panchayat, like last second we did, so can we write second ARC or Manishankar Ayer report in these questions, or would it be GS centric then?
No, we can write. And of course, we will do it once we touch that aspect of our syllabus also. Okay. Great. And Regarding Bhudan movement, we'll do it. And then I would want you to make your own conclusions. Soumya, off to you. And do tell me your favorite episodes also, if you have any.
Yes, so I really like season 2, and it is because the relevance is also pretty high when we compare like Western philosophers to Indian philosophers personally. And my favorite episode would be Chanakya, where we were talking about the Saptanga theory and how we related it to different like things, and with examples we elaborated it, and it was so relevant. Like how is it so relevant? I don't know. It's like transcending like decades and centuries. So with that, I think Chanakya becomes my favorite, and I think it's also quite brave of Syed Ahmad Khan to give the theory that he propounded, mixing the traditional values of Western education. So I think that's a big task that he had taken on. So I think I would like that aspect also. And so yesterday, like we talked about how like whether we should call these philosophers Gandhi ji, Nehru ji, and that got me thinking, because I was the one who said that probably we shouldn't. But I think so. It's like I would call them G out of like respect of their age and certain philosophy. But that's that's the point that I was trying to make, and I just was like, since yesterday, I was just trying to think about it, whether if they come in front of me, I would probably call them Gandhi ji, Ambedkar ji. But I think that's just Indian culture also that comes in there. So yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Yeah, with Aristotle, we wouldn't do that, right? Aristotle or Machiavelli. I think Digvijay Singh used to do it. Obama and Osama. I think it's one of his comment went viral. Osama ji is what he said. Rajshri, after you.
So first of all, my perspective regarding Indian political thought and whatever episodes we have covered is that I think it has given us a fresh perspective and also released us from the shackles of Western dominance in political thought, because it's like the colonial mindset is still relevant and quite fresh in our minds, where we think we are in awe with the ideas of the Western philosophers. But when we come to the Indian political thinkers and philosophers, we are actually like now able to acknowledge the richness of our culture. And I think that is the best part when we explored all of these thinkers. And of course, I think there should be some more thinkers that should be taught or should be in the syllabus. This is my personal opinion, because I think we have left out many such philosophers or thinkers, as we can call them. And UPSC CSA did not accommodate them in the syllabus, but definitely we should also explore more. And also said, like, I'm in awe with whatever I studied or we discussed in the classes, because I don't consider any particular episode as something big or something very different. Every episode was different and was unique in its own sense. Because particularly, I remember when we were discussing about Gandhiji, first of all, we like started with a critique of Gandhiji, how he was a like spokesperson of the capitalist class. And I was getting very critical of Gandhi. That might be a reason he was doing that. And all of a sudden, in the next episode, you come up with another like another version of the same story, that no, why Gandhiji was actually doing what he was doing. It was just a way of balancing out the things. And I think that was the most practical thing that he could have done. So I think every episode was like refining my understanding, my critical thinking. And I think it's absolute blessing to actually read about and learn about these philosophers, because this is about India, a growing country, and what we call like whatever we consider India today as like Vishwaguru or whatever the concept. But yeah, sir. And of course, it's very distinct from Western political thought, because India, it has own Indian ideas, Indian own values, which is very different from that of the Western philosophers. This is what I feel. And yeah, it was very interesting understanding our thinkers.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. I worked so hard for Western philosophers. No one is picking season 1. Okay. Apurva, your thoughts?
Good evening, sir. So yes, I was actually about to say about Western philosophers too now. So yeah, Aristotle I liked him because of his practicality on the middle class, that the middle class has stake in the society, and that is really practical if you look at the present world. And yeah, Machiavelli for his power theories. Of course, I loved him for that because I think I relate more to those thinkers which are actually practical in life and we can actually see it around us. So those theories are actually going around us. And yeah, from the season 2, although of course we all love Chanakya, but my favorite episode specifically was the Noah story one. So I loved that.
Because that
I
will not come in
mean,
syllabus. It's not there in the. You won't see that in the exam.
I know that, sir, but I mean, it actually tells us that no matter what these political parties talk about or say, if we get into the roots of any religion, we have origin from the same source. And that is the best part which I learned. And I mean, in Christianity also, in Islamism and in Hinduism, all, I mean, all the three stories are same. So I really liked it. I really, really liked it. And of course, Gandhiji's modernity theory, that is also really relatable. That of course there is not much for the desires. Desires are endless. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you, Apurva. Sumel, your thoughts?
Good afternoon, sir. So I was not so regular in the first season due to some reason. I like the second season more because I am seeing improvement in my own answer writing. I've started to what you say. I did the whole autopsy of the answer and question and started writing that. And for me, sir, the two philosophers, Gandhiji and Chanakya, I'll choose because Chanakya, I think, is more practical in the foreign policy uh, and Gandhiji in domestic policy. I understand that there should be both be used in both circumstances, but there should be more degree of Gandhian principle in domestic politics presently needed in our country. I think that's it.
Okay. And so in terms of episodes, I think yours would be Chanakya's episode.
Yes, sir, because
Okay,
I've
it's been a
spent
while.
more time on writing that down, whole example of that. I was doing it today, even today. Sir.
When did we discuss Kodra, right? Was this in Chanakya's episode? Or was it in Manuspati?
I don't have the correct idea, sir. I forgot.
Okay.
But not.
No worries. Adityan?
So in season 1, we have discussed the multiple aspects of statecraft. For example, when Aristotle says inequality is the cause for unstable government, Marx and Gramsci is deep diving into the topic. What are all the reasons for inequality in the society and how it was maintained by the powerful class people? When it comes to season 2, Indian philosophers were not just confined with the statecraft, but also they implies the significance of value. And the value is not just only applied to the ruling governing class, but also to the individualistic people at ground level. My very favorite philosopher is M.K. Gandhi and Aurobindo Ghosh. That's it, sir.
Okay, very nice. Myra, up to you.
Yes, sir. So in terms of season 1 or 2, I am not sure if I can pick any one season because even in GS module, after history, economics became favorite and then polity. So I'm pretty sure that going forward, we'll study about the theories and even that will become my favorite. So I'm not choosing any of them. But In Indian political thought, I think yes, I will also concur with most of the misfitters that I even like Chanakya because how detailed and intricate his theories are. It's like he can see every cause and effect of all the things that one can imagine of. And even being a realist, he also has an element of idealism. He also gives importance to dharma because he knows that if a little bit of idealism is also important in life. So yes, and also Mahatma Gandhi, just simplest of things are also very difficult to attain is what we can understand from his theories. And like just speaking truth or being like following the path of ahimsa is not just not being violent, but also in terms of your words and actions. And yet we are still to discuss Ambedkar ji, and I'm pretty sure that he will become a favorite because in the GS module also how I understood how importance of consciousness is. So yes. So for now, I think Chanakya and Gandhiji.
Okay, great. Thank you, Myra. Krishna, after you.
Hello, sir. Hello, everyone. In season one, I still remember that how I liked some of the concepts of Niccolo Machiavelli and J.S. Mill. Like Niccolo Machiavelli's concept of dual morality, that how morality standards should be different for a ruler and for a citizen, and how J.S. Mills was actually revolutionary with his harm, harm principle and qualitative distinction in the utilitarianism. In season two, on other hand, I really loved the way Chanakya strike the balance between the pragmatic governance, statecraft, and dharma, ethical conduct, and moral obligations. And he made Niccolo Machiavelli look like a kid. So I really loved Chanakya in this season. And other than that, I really loved the concept of Mahatma Gandhi's cheese concept, how he critiqued the modernism. And I can draw out a parallel with the iron cage theory of Max Weber, that how in the contemporary world, as a human race, we are becoming more and more institutionalized and mechanized and kind of a prioritizing economic growth over our own well-being. So that is something I kind of relate to. So that is all. And I don't have a particular favorite philosopher right now, but hope things will change in future.
Okay, great. Thank you, Krishna. Dilip, after you.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, this is my fourth live I am attending. I'm getting acclimatized to your method of teaching, sir. Yeah, coming to like the first live which I have attended is like sir regarding Sir Syed Ahmad Khan philosopher, sir. And I have attended like the next two episodes were like yesterday and the day before yesterday, sir, about Gandhiji. So I like the Gandhiji's idea of uh, Sarvodaya, sir, welfare for all. The true welfare lies in well-being of all. I really like the idea, sir. And moreover, the next idea what I liked is Swadeshi, which is about like self-reliance. We have to make our own products. And the next thing is, sir, yesterday we spoke about what we call as like Swaraj, Swaraj on individual level and Swaraj on collective level. So which equally implies like Gram Swaraj. And it really I felt like liberated, sir, when we saw about a village yesterday where it constituted a number of million years. So yeah, I think whatever that is he has stated was like very pragmatic, and I'm very happy about what the lectures are I'm doing with my lectures. Thank you.
Okay, very well. Thank you, Dilip. Vaishali? Vaishali is, you're not audible to me. Or we can come back to you later, Vaishali, once the internet is sorted. Gayatri?
Yes, sir. Uh, season one and season two both are really good. Actually, sir, as I said earlier, like whatever you teach now, that will become our favorite. Today's class will become our favorite. Next will become our favorite. So that's the case with us. Um, like talking about, of course, Chanakya and Gandhi. That's they are like the concepts and examples were like very nice. But I also like the concept of Sri Aurobindo Ghosh, because talking about like inner change or spirituality has always fascinated me, and how he like took it in the freedom struggle. Like he not just he was working at a very broader level, but to see that working on how working on oneself can also be transformative. So what is the word? It was rekindling the what is kindling the culture, or what the term was. So that was very fascinating. And yeah, season 1 also actually, whenever I see like a Zomato or a Swiggy worker now, all the concept just connects backwards. Oh, how the worker is alienated, and how he's not aware of it and everything. And also, sir, the episode, not the episode, but the discussion you had, which is not released, the discussion you had with us like few days back, that was very important. Actually, it was it just I felt that, oh, everything is going so fast and everything. But the moment you asked us how are you feeling, and how is it going for you, is it going fast and it's fine, that was very important. And also you asked us to raise our hands, and it's fine if we make mistakes. So that has changed a lot, because now I'm trying to at least raise my hand, even if the answer is wrong or right, it's fine, but I'm trying to raise my hand in each and every class. So that is helping me to build my confidence, sir. Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Okay, great. And I think you gave really good answers, at least this season. So good job. Divyansh?
Sir, actually, it is very hard for me to pick between season 1 and season 2, because I don't think there is a really much divide between Western and Indian philosophers. Western philosophers like J.S. Mill and Rousseau, they influenced Indian nationalist movement, and Gandhiji himself was inspired by Tolstoy and Sayyid Ahmad Khan as well. So I think there is a line between these links between them as well. So separating them, I think it is very difficult for me. For season 1, I think Socrates, though we did not study him, but he was a real founder on which later built upon later Socrates, Aristotle, and Sir Chanakya stands out in every way, as far as I can think.
Okay, great. Priyal?
So good afternoon, sir. So I was not there in season 1, but on the basis of season 2, my favorite is Chanakya, because I think the mixture he gives on the basis of ethics, moral values, along with Samdan and with. So I feel that is more relevant and more practical as compared to the world that we see today. And I was not very much confident in the beginning, but day by day I'm trying to improve myself, and I'm trying to raise my hand and speak whatever I feel. And apart from that, I love the uniqueness, the examples you pick, and really how you relate these theories to the contemporary world. So that is very unique. I love that about season 2.
All right, thank you. Vaishali, after you, and then we'll begin the class.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Sir, I think that the political thought, I think it is a kind of that inspires, but I also know the practicality of the things, that it is too able to be followed. So the practical sense, we can say that Chanakya thought is more relevant and practical in these world too.
Okay, great. Let's do one thing. Let's start today's episode with a video. Watch through it and let me know your thoughts. In fact, today's episode will be the tale of 3 videos. We'll start with 3 videos.
Is still recovering from the violence he faced at school, is not allowed to show the face of minor victims in India. He belongs to the most oppressed community in the country, Dalits, formerly known as the untouchables. In April, Shubham was beaten up by his teacher on allegations of theft, which he denies. He says it's a common excuse teachers use to pick on Dalit students.
He beat me up everywhere, on my back, hands, legs, on my feet. He thrashed me for 45 minutes until I fainted.
On this hand, there was a fracture near his elbow, and on the other hand, 2 fingers were broken. He has a lot of injuries on both his hands. His back has several bruise marks.
That teacher was arrested, but it's not only the teachers who target Shubham. His upper caste classmates often humiliate him too.
They say all those who have dark skin are Dalits.
Why don't you complain to the teachers that they are calling you names and that it's wrong?
The teachers just beat us up instead.
What do they say?
They say, aren't you dark-skinned? What else should you be called?
Untouchability was abolished in 1950, but it is still widely practiced across the country. In August, a 9-year-old Dalit boy in Rajasthan died days after he was assaulted by his teacher. His crime, he touched a water pot kept for the upper caste. Rights activists say systemic discrimination against Dalit children have a lifelong damaging impact.
It does have a very long-time impact. It actually affects the psychosomatic development of children. Because young minds, they seep in a lot of negative or positive vibes. So when they are not allowed to have access to water, a basic right or basic need of a child, so that does impact the child's thinking.
According to a survey by a private organization, Video Volunteers, around 50% of the total 200 million Dalits in India have experienced.
Okay, that's the first video. Let's look at the another one. And as you watch through these videos, build some thoughts, build some opinions.
हमारा पूरा पुलिस प्रशासन आपके साथ है, ठीक है। आपको जैसे ही राज निकालनी हो गाँव में, जैसे निकालने के लिए हम तैयार हैं। दूल्हा जैसा बोलेगा, जहाँ से बोलेगा, जिस रास्ते से बोलेगा, जिस तरीके से बोलेगा, उसको स्वतंत्रता है, वो जहाँ से चाहे वहाँ से अपनी राज निकलवा सकता है।
आईपीसी और अन्य सेक्शंस में एफआईआर की गई है और गांव में अभी शांति हमारा गार्ड लगा हुआ है और जल्द से जल्द इसमें जो आरोपी हैं इनकी गिरफ्तारी की जाएगी।
Okay, and let's watch the third one. Third one is sadly in Hindi. So, of course, we will translate this. So, to all those who cannot comprehend Hindi, don't worry, don't stress. I will do some narration after we are done with the video. Okay, let's watch through it. I'll talk about this incident.
गुजरात में सरकार, राज्य सरकार के बार बार कहने के बाद भी कि दलितों के साथ हिंसा करने वाले युवकों के खिलाफ कार्रवाई हुई है और भी जरूरत हुई तो होगी, गिरफ्तारी भी हुई है, लेकिन दलितों का गुस्सा थम नहीं रहा। क्या दलितों पर पटेल आंदोलन का कोई प्रभाव है? गुजरात में दलितों के शोषण की हकीकत अन्य राज्यों से अलग नहीं है, मगर इस तरह का उग्र रूप कभी सामने नहीं आया। कई जगहों से गौ रक्षा के नाम पर भारत भर में लोगों को ट्रकों से उतारकर मारने पीटने की घटना सामने आई, मगर कहीं ऐसा जन प्रतिरोध सामने नहीं आया। पंजाब और हरियाणा हाईकोर्ट ने भी ऐसे तत्वों को खुली छूट मिलने पर कड़ी टिप्पणी की थी। गुजरात में दलित युवकों की कमीज उतारकर मारा गया और कार में बांधकर घुमाने की घटना ने नाराजगी को उग्र रूप दे दिया है। उनके मारने का एक और नया वीडियो भी आ गया है। दलितों ने बदले में गायों के अंतिम संस्कार से ही मना कर दिया कि अब हम यह काम नहीं करेंगे, जिनकी आस्था है वही अंतिम संस्कार।
This is a very important statement that Ravish Kumar is making. What is he saying? Anyone? Can anyone translate that in English? Go on, Kundan.
Sir, Ravish Kumar is saying that after brutal harassment of the Dalit community, they have said no to doing the last riots of the cows.
Okay. Okay. Let's rewatch it.
करें कर दिया कि अब हम यह काम नहीं करेंगे, जिनकी आस्था है वही अंतिम संस्कार करें। दशकों पहले, आजादी से पहले भीमराव अंबेडकर, डॉक्टर अंबेडकर ने यही कहा था कि जिस काम के कारण हमें अछूत समझा जाता है, हम वो काम ही नहीं करेंगे, जिन्हें करना है वो करें। इस पूरी प्रक्रिया पर जो गुजरात।
Now, can you translate this? Anyone? Whatever was said for the last 40 seconds. Kundan, go on.
The work for which we were outcasted, we would not do that work itself. And those who have the devotion to do that work, they should continue doing that.
Okay. And then he said something about Ambedkar ji also.
Yeah, Ambedkar ji said this statement is what he mentioned.
Okay.
गुजरात में घट रही है घटना, उन सब पर राजीव पाठक की ये विस्तृत रिपोर्ट।
गुजरात के राजकोट में हिंसा और आगजनी, ये तस्वीरें बता रही हैं कि गुजरात का दलित समुदाय कितने गुस्से में है। सोमवार रात यहां के धोराजी इलाके में दलित समुदाय के लोगों ने कई बसों में तोड़फोड़ की। राज्य परिवहन निगम की 2 बसों को आग के हवाले कर दिया। बीआरटीएस की बसों पर पथराव किया, बस स्टैंड तोड़ दिए। मंगलवार सुबह गुस्साए दलितों का गुस्सा अमरेली जिले में भी दिखा। सरकार के रवैये और दलितों के उत्पीड़न को लेकर सड़कों पर उतरा विरोध प्रदर्शन हिंसक हो गया। पुलिस पर पथराव हुआ, जवाब में पुलिस ने आंसू गैस के गोले छोड़े।
All right. What did we just see? We just watched 3 disturbing realities in modern India. No? How can young kids be physically assaulted? How can you assault someone just because that person belonged to a specific caste? What does it show? Don't you think this reminds us of something very interesting? This reminds us that social hierarchies begin early in life in our country. The caste system is reinforced in the classroom itself. What kind of a democracy is it when a kid's right to education, not just that, even respect, is taken away because of the caste at such a young age? What did we see in the second video? A Dalit groom requires state police to simply perform a common ritual. What is that ritual? Is that some rocket science? That ritual is to peacefully sit on a horse during his own wedding. It's a special day for him. What kind of a democracy are we? Why is his life at threat for this simple ask? Dalit groom riding a horse during his wedding procession. In which sane democracy would this lead to violence or threats? Don't you think it is heartbreaking that in a democracy built on principles of equality, justice, and whatnot, in that democracy, individuals today, they still require state protection to perform such basic customs? Why? Because it is a threat of violence. The third video of the Unna flogging, that perhaps is the most disturbing of all. What was that all about? Let me briefly show you a video. Anyone who is under 18? Okay, don't watch it. This is what is happening.
गुजरात में दलितों पर मोदी मॉडल के समय से ही भयंकर अत्याचार हो रहा था। इस अत्याचार की हकीकत तब सामने आई जब किसी ने एक वीडियो सोशल मीडिया पर वायरल कर दिया। इस वीडियो में कुछ हट्टे-कट्टे लोग 4 दलितों को बुरी तरह से पीट रहे थे। इस मामले को 1 साल हो गया है, लेकिन लोगों के जहन में ये यादें आज भी ताज़ा।
That was a video. It was a shocking case of caste-based violence. Shocked Una, Gujarat in 2016. Why were they flogged? They were brutally beaten by a mob of cow vigilantes for allegedly skinning a dead cow. They were publicly flogged, they were publicly humiliated, and of course, the videos of the incident went viral. There are millions of other such incidents that don't go viral. This witnessed a nationwide outrage, but there are millions of other incidents that may not witness the nationwide outrage. But the question is, what are we witnessing? According to Kangana Ranaut, we attained our independence in 2014. And what is our independence? In reality, what are we seeing? We are seeing how political democracy, we have a political democracy with all the rights to life, all the right to vote. It means nothing if social structures like caste, it still dominates people's lives. The video that we just saw, Dalit kid getting beaten up by his teachers, grooms not allowed to celebrate this special day, workers being humiliated and flogged. Whatever we are seeing today, across time, across space, whatever we are seeing today in India is something that Dr. P.R. Ambedkar ji foresaw long before India became a democracy. Ambedkar ji realized that political democracy alone, what is that political democracy? When you give people the right to vote. Ambedkar ji realized that just giving people right to vote, it would never be enough to bring real freedom until and unless it was accompanied by social democracy. Ambedkar ji believed that the ideas of liberty, equality, fraternity, all these ideas should be extended beyond the political sphere. All these ideas and ideals should be incorporated in our social life. What does that mean? What does that mean? India's constitution, it grants fundamental rights, right? We've all seen those things. In GS, right to freedom of speech, movement, occupation. Despite these constitutional guarantees, why are Dalits denied their rights in many parts of India? Not just Dalits, many marginalized communities. Political equality is there. Everyone is equal before the law in India. But then, why students from Dalit communities, they often face this harassment or exclusion? Do you all know the story of Rohit Vemula? Anyone knows about that? There are many from Hyderabad. Rohit Vemula. This was a nationwide story just a few years ago. I forgot that. We'll also forget the Kolkata rape thing in just a few years. We have short-term memory. Anyone knows about Rohit Vemula? Soumya?
So he was an engineering student who faced caste-based harassment and discrimination on campus. So he finally committed suicide.
Okay, let's watch his last video. Let's see what he has to say.
My name is Rohit Vemula. I'm a Dalit coming from Guntur district.
I've been a student of University of Network from 2010, and now I'm doing PhD in social sciences department school. And then recently the university has taken a decision to suspend 5 Dalit students, and they have expelled us from the hostel premises, and they have said that the notice which we got served says that our presence in public places and our presence in hostel premises and administration building can be treated as criminal acts. Coming to my social background, I'm a son of agricultural laborer, and I'm my mother and father, my mother has raised us, and I came to university in 2010 as a student of MSc Biotechnology, and I have changed my subject to sociology because I wanted to be, because of my passion towards the social sciences and social aspects. And I have got a JRF, and with my JRF I got a seat in general category in social sciences school. And my spat with ABP is not a new one. In 2012, ABP has filed a case against me in Chandanagar police station, where I was detained in the police station for 2 days.
Yeah, and then few days later, commit suicide. So even though the Constitution guarantees equal opportunity, but looks like the marginalized, they continue to face social discrimination. Many students from these communities, they face exclusion, they face harassment, even in elite institutions. So what is that fraternity? What happens to it? Constitution talks about, no? Fraternity. Constitution promotes unity, brotherhood amongst all citizens of India. But what about social fraternity? The persistence of untouchability in many parts of rural India, what does it indicate? Why are Dalits not allowed to participate in community events? Don't you think that would violate the idea of fraternity that Ambedkar ji envisioned? In 1950, India became a democracy. Right? Constitution. In truest sense. Every citizen of India had the right to vote, participate in governance, theoretically. But Ambedkar ji wanted more than that. Ambedkar ji warned that these political rights mean nothing. These political rights mean nothing if India's deep social inequalities are not addressed. He believed that political democracy, right to vote, right to be represented, all of that is meaningless if people were still oppressed based on their caste. Isn't that happening today? I know the entire debate around caste is now around reservations. Politics have ruined many things. Politicians have ruined the social justice also. Today, Ambedkar ji would be ashamed of many of these leaders who are now becoming voices. Videos we just watched, these are examples of exactly what Ambedkar ji feared. These individuals, despite being citizens of our country, they still live in constant fear. They live in the fear of constant humiliation. So it looks like their political rights mean absolutely nothing. Why? Because there is social oppression. Ambedkar ji did not just speak about social democracy. He also knew that without economic democracy, the marginalized, they would remain vulnerable. Very interesting point. Just to go back to that video of Ravish Kumar. Men in the Una flogging video, why were they beaten? They were being beaten up. For what reason? They were doing the job that their caste assigned them to do. The men in that video were shamelessly, brutally beaten. For what reason? For doing their job that their caste assigned them to do. They were not just the victims of caste violence, but they were also denied the economic freedom. Why do I say that? Because they were trapped in an occupation that society had imposed upon them. They had no escape. They had no way to pursue a dignified livelihood. Because economic system continues to exclude the marginalized from equal opportunities. Those men were beaten publicly, brutally, and mercilessly. They were tied to a vehicle, flogged with sticks, and what was their crime? They were working in a job assigned to them by the caste system. Now just think about this. Ask yourself, would they have been beaten if they were the SP of that district of the same caste? Or if they were the district collector? No one would have dared touch them. Not possible. Because when you occupy such positions, you also acquire power, dignity, and most importantly, economic freedom. And these roles of district collectors, SP, not determined by birth, at least in our country, but by education, opportunity, merit, crack an examination, work hard for it. Ambedkarji argued that unless people had the economic freedom to break away from caste-based occupations, they would never truly be free. I have to keep on connecting it with the real world, otherwise you will not grasp the meaning of his words. So Ambedkarji's philosophy is not just history. It is painfully relevant even today. Those videos were recent videos. It didn't happen 70 years ago. Even if India progresses politically, socially, economically, looks like caste-based discrimination is still there. So Ambedkarji warned that if we did not achieve social democracy along with political democracy, India would remain a land of paradoxes. That's the term he used. Land of paradoxes. I may want you to use such terms also in your answers. Now ask yourself this question. Can we call India a true democracy? If Dalits, they still live in fear, if they're oppressed because of their caste. Ask yourself, how do political and social rights, how do they interact with each other in our society today? Ambedkarji believed that political democracy, a right to vote, to be represented, to participate in governance, it cannot survive unless it is built on social democracy. This means what? Social democracy. It means creating a society where liberty, equality, fraternity, they are not just slogans, but a reality for every citizen, regardless of their caste or economic background. As we saw in that video, or as we read even today's newspaper, India still struggles to achieve the social and economic democracy that Ambedkarji dreamt of. So who was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar? Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. Who was he? April 14th, 1891, he was born in a Dalit family, Mahar, Mhow, Madhya Pradesh. Was Mhow part of Madhya Pradesh back then? Or Maharashtra? Today, I think it's Madhya Pradesh. Himanshu?
Sir, that back then it was Maharashtra.
Okay. But yes, I mean, those nitty-gritties may not be that important. But yes, 1891, he was born. Ambedkar ji, of course, faced discrimination from a very young age. And we all know the reason why. Dalit status. First-hand, he experienced the caste-based inequalities. And all of those experiences will shape his life. And looks like will shape the life of many countrymen. Despite the societal barriers, Ambedkar ji pursued education with great determination. Just look at his pedigree. Went to Columbia, went to London School of Economics. All of that made him one of the most educated Indians of his time. Ambedkar ji was a strong critic of Hindu orthodoxy, particularly its caste system, something that he saw as antithetical to democratic values. I know today many WhatsApp University graduates will go on to lay us, unthinkable aspersions on Gandhi ji or Ambedkar ji. But that's the reason why they are not even administrators of their WhatsApp groups. Raising doubts on these legends who reshaped India. Because many humans, they're all humans. They all will have problems. Ambedkar ji very famously called for annihilation of caste. He argued that social democracy, again and again I'm repeating this, it was essential for political democracy to succeed. He argued that political democracy, the voting rights, the rule of law, it would be hollow without social and economic equality. His warnings remain relevant even today. In 1956, Ambedkar ji publicly converted to Buddhism, along with his hundreds of thousands of his followers. It was a protest against the oppressive caste system. And his conversion was a symbolic rejection of the religious structures that perpetuated untouchability and caste hierarchies. So please write down one question that you could be asked in your optional subject. And also in GS, you could be asked a similar question. Political democracy could not last unless social democracy lay at its base. B.R. Ambedkar, comment. 20 marks, 250 words. Think for a minute and tell me what all will you write. Political democracy could not last unless social democracy lay at its base. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, comment. Anyone ready with the thoughts? What could you write? Let's discuss. Myra, go on.
Yes, so I will begin that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, in his seminal work, Annihilation of Caste, expresses his thoughts that political democracy could not last unless there is social democracy, which means that even if there is political democracy in terms of like people have right to vote and they have the right to represent, etc., it won't benefit the country unless there is social democracy. Then I will mention about the holy trinity of equality, liberty, and fraternity, and how they're important as they provide the base. Then I will mention his critique of Hindu orthodoxy and the caste system, and how these evils of untouchability and caste system they affect the society in a whole. And in recent example, I can give that even in spite of fundamental rights that we have, there are still examples of atrocities committed towards the depressed classes or the backward classes. For example, I can mention the Unnao case. And criticism, I think Gandhiji would criticize him for, I'm not
It's
sure.
very difficult to criticize him for whatever he's asking. No? How can you criticize? What is he asking? But yes, we can do a debate in this answer. Okay, so good job on the beginning, good job on the content, good job on in quoting that contemporary example of Una incident 2016. You can also write about other examples. For example, globally movements like what? That Black Lives Matter shows that even in well-established democracies, social inequalities based on race and class can erode the legitimacy of political democracy. That's one global example if you want to write. Now, the question is, what debate could you write in this answer? Perhaps can you think from Marxist standpoint? Marxists will focus a lot on class. So perhaps you can write that addition in the answer. But again, that will be a debate. If you compare Ambedkar with, let's say, Karl Marx critiqued democracy for ignoring the economic inequalities. But unlike Marx, Ambedkar worked within the constitutional framework to push for reforms. And then you conclude. In fact, let's try writing another question. Right? Discuss Ambedkar's ideas on annihilation of caste. I'm just changing some things. Now I expect you to write a answer. Take your learnings and think what all could you write. By the way, this question was asked in the examination. And this has been asked multiple times, not just once. 2 times in GS, 1 time in optional. To discuss Ambedkar's ideas on annihilation of caste. 20 marks to 50 words. I think in the examination, they didn't ask it for 20 marks. It was 10 marker or 15 marker. But let's prepare for 20 marks. Okay, time's up. What all did you write? Soumya?
So I would start with the introduction saying that Ambedkar's idea of annihilation of caste looks at caste as the ulcer of integrated and conscious Indian democracy and its actualization. It is the bedrock of his idea, which is also mentioned in his book titled Annihilation of Caste. For Ambedkar, the political democracy in terms of rights of participating in the democratic processes is hollow until it is backed by social as well as economic democracy, which is enabled through the trinity of liberty, fraternity, and equality, which do not stop at the political realm. It has to transcend into social as well as economic aspects of an individual, irrespective of their background. The example that I would state is, again, the examples we discussed. I can talk about the example of Rohit Vemula. Even after getting into prestigious institutions, his identity was reduced to just his background of a particular caste. For another example could be how Ambedkar himself deter the shackles of Hindu orthodoxy, had to publicly convert to Buddhism to assert the annihilation of caste. So for an alternative model is seen in Marx, where he doesn't talk about the social democracy as such, but economic democracy, which is an alternative reality. And even today in the present day democracy that India is trying to achieve, social democracy is still underway and under process. So Ambedkar's ideas remain very prominent.
Okay. So you can write that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's ideas on annihilation of caste were rooted in his deep belief that caste system was the most significant obstacle to achieving social justice and equality in India. In his 1936 work, Annihilation of Caste, Ambedkar argued that caste was not merely a division of labor, but a division of laborers, which perpetuated social inequality. Now, that's a very powerful statement I may want you to write in the exam. And what does it mean? It's a very powerful statement. That caste is not merely a division of labor. The people are assigned different jobs based on their skills or capacities. Rather, it's the division of laborers. What does it mean? It means that people are permanently categorized and confined to specific jobs, specific roles, based on their birth, regardless of their individual potentials, regardless of their individual abilities, regardless of their aspirations. What did we see in that Mhow flogging incident? 4 Dalit men were brutally beaten by a group of upper caste men for skinning a dead cow. But the interesting thing is that job that they were doing, it was historically assigned to Dalits as part of their caste-based duties. And the question is, was it their dream to engage in that profession? Was it that they were aspiring to do? No. In the division of laborers, what is Ambedkar ji referring to? It is not the labor that is a problem. Division of laborers based on caste, that's the problem. Because it dehumanizes individuals. And therefore, he is arguing to annihilate the caste. So what all have we written in the initial part? Can anyone quickly tell me? Kshitij?
The last we were discussing his work, Annihilation of Caste, where he stated caste is not division of labor merely, a division of laborers.
Okay. Now in the next paragraph, right? He advocated for complete rejection of the caste system, viewing it as incompatible with democracy. Ambedkar's emphasis on intercaste marriages and education as tools to break the caste system hold you can write Ambedkar's emphasis on intercaste marriages and education as tools to break the caste system's hold showed his practical approach to dismantling caste barriers. He also linked social equality with economic democracy, stressing that economic reforms such as land redistribution were necessary to uplift marginalized communities. He gave a very famous slogan. You can write about that. Ambedkar's famous slogan, educate, agitate, organize, reflected his strategy for empowering oppressed groups. What were Gandhiji's thought on caste? I would want to write Gandhiji also in this answer. What did he think of caste? So let's hear what Ambedkarji has to say on Gandhi.
Then what were his real intentions with regard to the scheduled castes in the structure?
Well, he only wanted, you see, there are two things about the scheduled caste. We want untouchability to be abolished, you see, but we also want, you see, that we must be given equal opportunities, you see, so that we may rise to the level of the other classes. Mere washing off of untouchability is of no consequence. We have been carrying on with untouchability for the last 2000 years. Nobody has bothered about it, you see. Nobody has bothered about it. Yes, there are some disabilities which are very harmful. For instance, people can't take water, and people can't have land, you see, to cultivate and earn their livelihood. But the other things which are far more important, you see, namely that they should have the same status, you see, in the country, and that they should have the opportunity to hold high offices, so that not only their dignity will rise, but also they will get what I call strategic positions from which they could protect their own people. Mr. Gandhi was totally opposed. Totally opposed. You see?
He was content with things like temple entry.
Temple entry, that was all the thing that he wanted to do. You see? You see? Which is nobody cares for Hindu temples now. The untouchables have become, you see, so conscious of the fact that temple going is of no consequence at all. You see, you live in the untouchable quarters, just the same, whether you went into the temple or whether you did not go into the temple. You see? People, just as for instance, people at one time would not allow the untouchables to travel by railways, you see, because of pollution. You see? But now they don't mind, because the railways won't make any separate arrangement. But because they travel together in the train, it doesn't follow, you see, that their life in the villages vis-a-vis the Hindus has in any sense changed. You see, whenever the Hindu and the untouchable alights at a railway train, you see, they assume their old robes. You see?
So you would say Gandhi was an orthodox Hindu?
Yes, he was absolutely an orthodox Hindu. You see, he was never a reformer. You see, and he has no dynamics in him. You see, all this talk about untouchability was just for the purpose of making the untouchables drawn into the Congress. That was one thing. You see, and secondly, you see, he wanted that the untouchables should not oppose his movement, you see, of Swaraj. You see, I don't think beyond that he had any real motive of uplift.
And then do you think that political independence would have come without Gandhi?
Oh yes, I'm sure about it.
I love this part, whatever he says now.
It might have been in slow degrees, but I personally myself think that if Swaraj had come in slow degrees in India, it would have profited the people better. You see, for each community or each group, you see, which is suffering from many of these disabilities, you see, would have been able to consolidate itself at each stage of the transfer of power from the British. You see, today the whole thing came as a flood. You see, people were unprepared. And I always think that the Labour Party has been the most stupid party in England.
Or was it Gandhi who was too impatient, or the Congress Party? Was he?
No, personally, I do not know how suddenly Mr. Attlee agreed, you see, to give independence. That's a matter of secret which Mr. Attlee one day, I think, will disclose in his autobiography. How he came to do that, you see, because nobody ever expected. It is such a sudden change of front. Nobody ever expected. But it seems to me, from the analysis that I make about it, there are two things which I think led, you see, to the Labour Party to take this decision. One is the national army that was raised by Subhash Chandra Bose. The British had been ruling this country in the firm belief that whatever may happen, you see, in this country, and whatever the politician may do, you see, they will never be able, you see, to change the loyalty of the soldier. That was the one prop on which they were carrying on their administration. Now that thing was completely dashed to pieces, you see, when they found that even the soldier was being seduced, you see, and to form a party or a battalion to blow off the British.
Okay. Thoughts? That's what he's saying about Gandhiji. If you were to ask questions to Gandhiji, he will have his own reasons, rationales. For now, you would want, you may think that, looks like Gandhiji is the devil. And fair enough. Rajshri?
So, through the video, it's very evident that Ambedkar ji seems to be a very staunch critic of Gandhi ji, because he accused Gandhi ji of being an orthodox Hindu whose sole purpose of drawing, who projected himself as pro-poor or pro-Dalits or the oppressed classes just to bring the untouchables or these marginalized people close to the Congress. So he didn't have any real motive or real motive for that
In
purpose.
fact, a reporter will ask him a question that, do you think Gandhi was a Mahatma? And Ambedkar ji will go on to say, I will never call him a Mahatma. He don't deserve that title. And I will tell the reasons why. But okay. Fair. Sumal?
So I think that Ambedkar's view is valid, but Gandhiji understood the society more. He understood it's a fact that Gandhiji never sat on a fast for Dalit rights or something like that. He never did. Even he could have, but he understood the society that Hindus, elite will go against him. No one will support him for that. And this view of that the Swaraj should have come slowly. I see a continuity of J.S. Mill thought that it should be slowly by educating the people. You should give democracy to that country.
Okay. I think I have a couple more minutes because you have the current affairs class today, deep dive session. So I'll wrap up this discussion in a couple of minutes and then we'll continue tomorrow. But basis the video, it makes a lot of sense to invoke Gandhiji and Ambedkarji's answers. If you want to score good score. Present that as a debate. But there's one very interesting thing that you also can learn from this video. Just because two people they disagree with each other, it does not make one good and another person bad. Disagreements are also important. They show us that they are humans. And like humans, they had different perspectives on the world. And they may have their own rationales, own reasons. Gandhiji took a different approach. So write very briefly about Gandhiji in the next paragraph. And write, however, Gandhi took a different approach. While Gandhi opposed untouchability, he sought to reform the Varna system from within, believing in the moral and spiritual upliftment of the oppressed. Gandhi's vision of reform was gradual, relying on moral transformation of individuals. Whereas Ambedkar, he saw the caste system as inherently unjust, and he called for a complete destruction. And this fundamental difference created a historic rift between the two leaders. See, he's saying annihilation of caste. Critics, including some Marxists, argue that Ambedkar's focus on caste underestimated the role of class exploitation, while others felt that Gandhi's approach was too slow. Write this line in the answer. Despite these critiques, Ambedkar's ideas remain relevant today, with incidents like 2016 Unnao flogging and the persistence of manual scavenging highlights the continued oppression of Dalits. And then conclude. That's how you should write answers in debate format for this part. To explain the core argument of the caste system, then you have to provide a comparative perspective, showing that as students, you understand different philosophies, different practical approaches to tackle the same thing. This will enrich your response, enrich your answer to a deeper level because you're engaging with the topic. Your answer is including criticism from Marxist thinkers, Gandhi. You're putting in contemporary examples of Unnao flogging. You put in some global examples of Black Lives Matter. And the answer is not one-sided. It's a very well-researched answer, debated answer. It shows the depth of your understanding, critical engagement, and even relevance in today's context. So with this, we end today's class. Let's write down one small homework. I think in general studies polity, there was one class dedicated to constitutionalism, right? And if you study in the GS, there is a segment around constitutionalism. I want you to go through that class. I want you to take the learnings of those class again. And whatever you remember from today's class, keeping those things in mind, write down one question. Comment on Ambedkar's ideas on constitutionalism. Comment on Ambedkar's ideas on constitutionalism. 250 words, 20 marks. Do this homework. Okay. Tomorrow we'll wrap up the Indian political thought section, the season 2. And then we'll begin with the interesting journey of season 3. Tomorrow's class is important, so I look forward to meeting you all. Even if you are not regular in classes, that's fine. But do come up for the session tomorrow, the finale, to say the least, with M and Roy. And of course, we'll be wrapping up on Ambedkarji also. Right, good luck, take care, and enjoy your deep dive session.